Hey, Lisa here, Front Row Promotions. How are you doing tonight? Happy Thanksgiving. We have a nice show coming to you tonight. Tonight we have Mistress Kandi, and our guest is David Donley. David Donley, welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, Kandi.
Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. You're
And you know what?
welcome.
Just to give our listeners some perspective, you are in Norwich, England. You guys are about 5 hours ahead of us.
Yes.
So thank
yes.
you
We're
for
into the
joining us.
future.
Thank
It's 2
you for
o'clock.
joining us in the wee hours of the morning with your cup of tea. That's awesome.
I love it. I love it. And I toast you with my Pepsi. And
Mhm.
Kandi, what are you drinking?
Green tea.
Awesome. TT
Oh,
and
that's-
Pepsi.
that's
Can't
not
go
real.
wrong.
That's not real tea, Kandi.
Says
Tea is a
says
tea.
the Englishman.
Yeah, tea is a thing that makes boiling water, go brown, and then you add milk and a nice sugar. And
No, I don't add milk to this shit.
well, no, it's
You can't add milk to this. Green tea does not require milk. It requires honey.
yeah, that's nice actually. I do
Well,
sometimes.
that's good too. I like honey in it too. Nice
And
and
we started out on a rock and roll conversation there, didn't we? Tea.
sweet.
I know, right? Cheers, everybody.
Oh.
Well,
Cheers, everyone.
let's start out. Today is a very big day for you. You said that you had released some new music. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, well, it's basically I put out a 7-inch vinyl, clear vinyl single a few years back, and I sort of kind of snuck it out because the whole point behind it was that it was vinyl only, and
Okay.
I managed to keep it off iTunes, away from Spotify. I said to the record company, and they're like, I don't want any. I want it to be for people who love singles and like, yeah, I know I sound like someone's granddad, but it was like the excitement of just having an A and a B side to just go around with. And I did concede to putting a download card in there, which has got like an extra track and loads of goodies on it. But the thing is, it came to the time where the distributors that I was using, they've all got sold out of theirs, and so the only boxes left, I believe, are the ones I've got, which is about 80, I think, 80 copies. And
And 2 of those copies are going to go to us, right?
yes, I was going to say,
Yes.
you got to give me your addresses. So, and I'm just really proud of it because it was a crazy idea. I just wanted to do something that was mine because because I play behind or at the side of a lot of people who, quite rightly, their name is on the on the outside of the building. But I do write my own stuff and I do my own things. And initially it was going to be a solo thing. I was going to sing, play guitar, bass, drums, and then I realised no one needs to hear me sing. That's it's not. I don't think it'd be a good idea. And
Aw.
and I met Amy Conradine, who was she was drumming in a support band that I was sort of headlining with. I was playing for Sham 69 at the time, which is a sort of English punk band, and so when I spoke to her afterwards, I said, "You're a really good drummer." She was like double kick and stuff and all that sort of thing, and she said, "Yeah, but I'm a singer really," and so I said, "All right, well, send me something, because I thought she had such a good attitude. She was like a little ball of energy. And
Aw.
so that was the singer sorted. So I thought, well, it's going to be a bit weird if I now play drums, bass, and keyboards and guitar with just the singer at the front. So I asked Ed if he'd be interested, and he was in the darkness at the time. So it took a little bit of sort of jumping over a few hoops to get in there. But
Sorry, if I
yeah,
could interject for a second. Ed, if you're watching, love you and miss you.
Ed, yeah, bless him.
Yeah, I haven't spoken to him in a while. So, Ed, if you are watching, love,
Yeah.
love.
Sending some love.
I
Anyway,
will.
back to you, Dave.
And then that just left sort of guitar and bass, and I thought, well, obviously I'm going to do the guitar because I've written it and it's guitar-driven stuff. And I just thought, right, Ed's one of my favourite drummers. I think he's a very, very underrated British drummer. But my favourite bass player is Glenn Matlock from the Sex Pistols.
Ooh, okay.
Particularly when he was in the Rich Kids, and I also saw him play with the Faces, and now he's actually in Blondie. I don't know whether you know that he's the bass player in
I
Blondie.
did not know that. Oh,
Wow, that's very cool.
And so, I mean, I like the way he plays. I play with a plectrum when I play bass, and he said to me, that's the coward's way out, Dave,
oh no.
because he plays with his fingers. And so
Oh no.
And so I asked, expecting no, would you play bass on this thing? And he said, yeah, of course it will. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I think I'd done about 6 years with him drumming for him at the time, and this was a guitar thing. And to have the Matlock bass and the Ed Graham drumming, what a rhythm track. It's
Wow, no
fantastic as a
kidding.
rhythm track.
Yeah.
So then it came to putting it out. I managed to get a deal for it, just 500 copies, and it sold in Japan, Australia, and obviously the UK and Canada and US, and it was brilliant. But it leaked out, which is what I wanted. I did in the press releases and stuff. I tried to play down the idea that there were at least two famous people in it, but also Amy as well. At the time it came out, Amy was on like 2 front covers of magazines as an alternative model. So she was quite up there as well. But I just wanted it to be this weird band that wasn't really a band, if you like what I mean. It just did this single and then disappeared. No gigs, no album, just my favorite musicians and my favorite singer. And could I get them all together and do something that I'd written and produced and all that sort of stuff? And I did. So, cutting a long story short, today I have conceded, and it's now got its own Bandcamp. There are very few of the clear vinyl left, but they are on there. And also, it's the first time ever you can download it, because I can't stand Spotify, and to a lesser degree iTunes. But Spotify, what is it? 0.5 cents a play or something. It's like you have to have like 1 million plays and you earn $4.75 or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Little sausages. So I just thought, well, look, at least the money this way will go to me, the players, and my co-writer for the A-side, Chelsea Riley. And so it's now available if you want to download it onto a phone and stuff. But if you buy the single, you get a download card, and that's got extra photos, a biog, and it's also got, what I really love is the writer's demo, which is Chelsea, who wrote the lyrics, doing the vocals, and me doing everything else, basically just doing drums, big guitar, bass, and that's the writer's demo. But I still like it. It's a bit lower-fi, obviously, than the song, but I love it. I really, really like that. So I thought I'd put that in as a little extra, and that's about the size of it. So yeah, it's coming out, and if I may plug, that's the sleeve. It was an original painting. It's an original.
Nice.
It's behind you too, I noticed.
Yes, yeah, the painting's
crashing up. Oh, there it is. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so
I remember you sending that to me. I remember you sending that to me back in the day, and all I kept thinking was, yeah.
If I send you 3, you could do a competition, maybe.
Yeah.
And then it's details on the back and stuff. You do get there's the download card, but what I really love is, this is what excited me as a teenager.
Yes, the clear vinyl.
Oh,
Look at that.
The clear, yes.
But like totally see-through clear.
I love that. I have a few records similar. They're like a red color, the red or something like that.
Yeah.
My cousin,
that's a 45.
My cool cousin,
awesome.
Chucky. He always got that good stuff.
But I always collected the Ultravox singles, which were on Chrysalis, but they were like, I used to just stare at them like, wow, they're so, so see-through. So that's another thing that I wanted to do was, have a bespoke cover and everything. It's, to say I didn't make any money out of it would be really putting it mildly. But that wasn't the point. The point was, I'm just happy it's out there, and the fact that it's sold in so many countries, albeit, like a dripping tap. But, I think there's only about 80 left now, and I'd like people to still find it. But I'd also like, it's got to the point now where I'd just like people to hear it, really. And so if they want to download it for £1, you can, sorry, £1, which is, I don't know, 70 cents or something. I don't know these days.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. Which would be about $1 Canadian.
Right. And if you,
bad.
no, and if, if you want the single, then it's £8, which I can't work out. And I've done postage wise, I literally went to the post office and said, how much would this cost to go to Canada? How much would this cost to go to America, UK, Europe? And I'm not ripping anyone off on postage. I'm not sticking, oh, and $15 postage while you're at it. It's not. It's like £5 or something for the rest of the world. And I'll just, if I have to send it somewhere where I take a bit of a hit, I don't care. I'd rather they had the single, you know. So it was a real labor of love, and like I say, I'm just proud. And even on the sort of, if you'll excuse the expression, the back side of things, it was mixed by Jim Lowe,
Okay.
who's produced the last 5 #1 albums for the Stereophonics.
Yes.
He's done a lot of mixed engineering from everyone from Stereophonics to like Taylor Swift and Iron Maiden and stuff.
Oh, wow.
So,
very cool. Yeah.
so he did the mixing for me because he's a wonderful man. And then I got it mastered by John Davis, who is a bit of, you know, if you're a nerd when it comes to records and stuff, John Davis, he did all the Led Zeppelin remasters with Jimmy Page. He did Oasis albums, White Lies, which are a big band for me. And
Wow.
I just wanted John Davis to do it. Like, no one understands. Well, he's mastering engineer. What's that? It makes all the difference, you know.
Sure.
And it was a really exciting day because I was allowed to go and sit with him while he was doing it, and it was like being in the TARDIS of Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean? Because he's not mixing anything. It's all about frequencies, and he's got about like 7 speakers dotted around all over the place, and he'll play it through a pair of really nasty cheap speakers, and then stick it through the speakers that are worth like 15 grand or something, you know. And then it was amazing to listen to it. And then when he A/B'd it and he said, right, this is the mix you bought in, or this is what you bought in, this is what I've done to it, and it nearly took my head off. It was wonderful. I really loved it. It was a great experience to see that, you know.
That's awesome. Congratulations on. I mean, that's huge.
So that's the story of the Venus reaction, you know.
No, congratulations. I mean, that must mean a lot to you.
Cracking reviews in Record Collector and stuff, which was another thing. I've just always wanted to have something reviewed in Record Collector. You know, because it's the only one of the only magazines I buy monthly without fail, and it's great. And they did do a review, and they include a picture as well, and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
And, so that was really cool. And I had some good reviews from around the world,
Amazing.
and including Japan, which
Hey.
I love. Again, translation. Are you ready for this? It said something to the.
It's okay.
I'm trying to work out how to put this. Well, it just basically said something like, "This is the best 7-inch Glenn Matlock's been involved in," and it just made me laugh.
Oh, that is funny.
Oh, wow.
But it's just a translation saying that.
Yes, the way it sounds put together.
I was really pleased, and so yeah, I think Darkness fans would like it because it's pretty rocking. And you know, definitely with Glenn playing bass, it's got that sort of driving sound. And then there's what I like to think of my wall of guitars. You know,
nice.
It was brilliant.
How many do you have? How many guitars?
What you mean in my collection, as it were?
Yes.
Not too bad actually. I've got 2 white Les Pauls, a black Les Paul, an Ibanez with a wang bar for doing all the Van Halen-y.
Oh yeah.
And then I recently got a nice sort of, it's just like a rock and roll looking guitar sort of thing, and it's like I probably wouldn't play it with loads of gain on it and stuff. It's probably something to have a bit clean and a bit more sort of cutting and what have you. So yeah. But I've never been a gearhead. It's just literally it's all about my ears. Is like, what does it sound like? You know, does it? And I think, oh, I like that. That's great. But I couldn't care what frequency it's on or what, you know. It's like when people talk about guitars with rosewood necks or this, that, and the other. I don't know. It's just the ones I play are really nice. You know, I've got 3 basses.
You need to build that collection up so you can meet Bobby Dreyer, right? Because Bobby has about 170 something in his collection.
Oh my gosh, yes, he does. Yeah.
Who's Bobby Dreyer? Have I missed
You
something?
remember Bobby Dreyer? Kiss Room, Harem on Michael Radio.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's true, yeah. Where music and minds meet.
You got it.
Yes.
Well, so what we're also very interested in, Dave, is we want to know about your roots, where you came from, and how you kind of got started.
Yes.
You know, what made you want to do this? What made you want to be a musician?
Well, my dad was a jazz musician, and he was
Yeah.
fantastic. My dear old late dad, one of the loveliest people in the world, and he had a jazz band called the Paul Donley Trio, and I found it amazing that my dad had made a record, in 1957 or something like that, I think it was,
Oh,
and I have the acetate of it, and so he sort of, he was my musical buddy as well as just my buddy because I come from a family with a mum and three sisters in it.
oh
Um,
boy.
so it's just me and dad basically staring across the kitchen,
A
raising
lot of
our eyes,
extra
and
dinner
hoping we
there.
weren't going
All
to
the
get
women
caught.
in the house.
But
Yeah. Aw.
we knew what our position was, and it was infinitely lower than the rest of the family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was my mate, one of my best mates. But he sort of, I discovered his RAF drum kit in the basement when I was about 5, something like that. But I liked all music. I was into a band called Sweet when I was really little,
Yes.
and I loved
Wow. Yeah.
Mick Tucker on the drums and all that sort of stuff. I loved Andy Scott's guitar playing. I liked the idea of guitar playing and stuff. But for the longest time, people would say, "No, you're a drummer. You can't play guitar. You mustn't play guitar because you're a drummer." And that, and I couldn't work out why not. And then punk happened,
Oh boy.
and I thought, surely I can play guitar. Surely I can have a go. That was the brilliant thing about punk. It was basically have a go. You can have a go, whatever gender you are, whatever color you are, whatever. It was a complete level playing field. I mean, it was a real boost for women. You had bands like the Slits and the Runaways, and you had people like
Yes.
Polystyrene and Susie Sue and all that sort of thing. And no one thought, oh, they're women. They were like, they're a band. I think a band like the Slits were probably one of the first female bands to be just referenced as a band. They're a great band, and so punk just made me think, well, I want to play guitar, so I'll have a go. And a friend of mine, I got a third-hand guitar. It had holes in it. It was dreadful.
Oh
But a
dear.
friend of mine showed me a bar chord, which is the chord where you can just move up and down the neck, and it'll sound. It's like an E shape. And then you sort of, instead of playing an A there, you suddenly realize, oh, and there's a proper A down here, and that sort of thing. So gradually. And, I basically learnt the Sex Pistols album. That was the first thing that I
Oh.
was in. And then, and yeah, that was my thing, just loud, raucous guitar for a long while before I discovered other stuff, But I was happy once I could, sling chords together. And then I realized that if I do them in a different order, that's my song, And then I
Exactly.
realized,
Yes.
all right. And then I started doing the thing with 2 tape recorders where in my bedroom I'd play a drum track, reading along to the lyrics that I'd written and stuff. And then I would rewind that, press play on that one, press record on a second tape recorder, and play a bass line over it. And then that
Wow.
would record the bass line and the drum track. And then I would rewind that, press play on that, press record on the other one, put a guitar down, and
Wow.
I was basically multi-tracking without really knowing that's what I was doing, And I think
That's
Dave
awesome.
Grohl did a really good keynote speech where he said he did exactly the same thing, and I thought, oh, cool, it's like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite so odd. So,
That is really cool.
and the sort of turning point for that was that all the bands I'd been drumming in and stuff, if a drummer says, "Hey, I've got a song," the laughter is unreal. It's just it's like hyena level, and it's because you just stand there going, right, the bass line goes do 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 do, and they just wet themselves. However, I got to the stage where I could just hand them a cassette and say, "I've written this song. It goes like this," and it would have the bass line and guitars and all that sort of stuff, and so I suddenly realised I could, but it's not talent. It's just that I was interested. I was interested in every instrument and like the atmospheres you could get on a keyboard and stuff like that. So
But the drums is what you learned first. Is that what I'm
yeah,
getting?
I'd say it's
Okay.
probably my main. It was my main instrument for a long while,
Okay.
and but then they sort of all evened out really, and I was kind of as good or as bad, however you want to take it, at all 3. I don't think I'd never dare play keyboards live. I don't think. Because the thing is, if you do a roll around the kit and you're a beat short or something, you just add one and you're back in the game,
Sure.
And
Yeah.
if you hit
Right.
a wrong note on a guitar, you just bend it and pretend that you're Hendrix, and then that's that sorted. And if it's on a bass, you can just go, "Woo," you know, like a Gene Simmons, "Woo," or whatever, you know.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
However, if you hit a wrong note on a keyboard, it makes the audience's teeth itch because it's just, oh, no, no. It's like there's no bending a piano note or a keyboard thing. So I
No.
leave that to the experts. But I do play keyboards on my own stuff. But
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm not going to lie. I sort of play a line, put it onto another track, play the next line, and then when you play it back, it sounds like I'm playing keyboards nice and fluently. Which I'm not.
Awesome.
And singing, I do sing on demos and stuff. Like for Lifetime, the B side or the AA side of Crashing Up, I had to do a version where I sang so that Amy would know what the tune was. And I sent it to her and I said, please, when you've listened and learnt this, will you please delete it? Because it's
Oh no. You didn't like it? No.
well,
Oh,
I can sing in tune. I can hold it. So I do backing vocals for just about every project. But it's
Okay.
just, I sing like a talk. I don't think I've got a particularly interesting voice.
Oh, I would like to hear it.
but we all say that about ourselves, but I'm sure you sound great.
Yeah,
I'm
well, I
sure
mean,
he does.
you know,
Yeah.
something I have been thinking of, but I don't know. Is to put the demo of Lifetime on there with my vocal on it, so that it's like, because we've got the Crashing Up demo with Chelsea singing because they're her
Sure.
lyrics, and I thought doing that, and then I thought I think I'd rather run down the high street naked, you know. And
Oh no.
I just find it so embarrassing. I don't know what it is about my voice. It's, you know, it's like there are. I did a solo album in 1985, and I
Okay.
sang on every single. I sang on every single song, and I'm quite proud of the fact that it exists. But to be honest, I would, yeah, I would rather I'd rather hear the death rattle of a dying kitten than listen to that again. You know, I really would.
Oh no.
And I imagine the public would share my view.
Oh boy.
I think
Oh,
you're
no.
being too hard on yourself. I'd like to hear you. I'd like to hear what you sound like.
Yeah.
I know,
I
right?
want
Not,
to
not
hear
right
it.
this second.
I
We
just,
won't put you on
the
the
trouble
spot.
is,
But
Kandi,
Right.
because when me and Kandi talk, I always pick her up on things like that. And you just said something there, and I wanted to do a Beavis and Button go, she said hard on.
what?
I
I didn't
love
say that.
Well, she said I was too hard on myself, and I just picked up
Oh Jesus.
like Beavis.
He just went off of what you said.
I know. God, but you have to be careful these days in the world, don't you? You have to. If I say
Oh,
the wrong thing, I might have to be on the sort of 10 o'clock news apologising.
We don't
exactly.
judge here.
Oh
Look,
my God, you're so sensitive anymore.
I know.
we're not judgmental here. Anything goes. You can say whatever's on your mind, and we
Thanks.
will. Yep. That's what we're all about here.
Marvelous.
So
Absolutely.
Lisa, just start preparing this. But
Mhm.
David, we were talking a little bit before we went on the air, and you mentioned, I mean, there's a lot of different musicians that you had the opportunity to collaborate with over the years. I know within the last week that we tragically lost one of those musicians, and I know you wanted to acknowledge that a little bit. So can we talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, because I mean, one of the things is, I mean, you know, my career's been fairly sort of unblemished by financial gain. But what I do love is it is because I've toured so much and traveled so much, and I've ended up playing with a lot of my heroes from my record collection, which is amazing, and that's the thing I've loved the most. And obviously the places you go, the people you see and stuff. I always describe it. Sometimes I do talks at music colleges, and so I always explain that you're more than likely, it's a champagne lifestyle on a lemonade income, but it is brilliant, you know. And one of these opportunities was that Keith Levine from Public Image Limited, he hadn't played for years, not live. And the band I was with at the time, we had a gig at the 100 Club, which is quite a good venue. It's a bit like sort of the Troubadour or something in LA. It's one of those classic venues. And we managed to get Keith to come up and play a Public Image song with us, Low Life, and a few others. And for the night, we called it Public Imitation Limited, you know, which is quite good.
Oh,
But what I loved about it was that Keith was just fascinated by how I had learned his parts and stuff, because I really sort of studied what he's doing. I watched videos with his fingers and stuff. And so, I mean, there's a brilliant, if people want to go on YouTube, if you just put in Keith Levine 100 Club, there's a brilliant bit of footage where I know who was filming it, but the person that's filming it just for some reason just concentrated on me and Keith, because I think we were both fascinated by how we were playing it, and I love the way that he's looking at my hands and I'm looking at his hands, and it was just
Wow.
lovely. And after that, we've been friends for 12 years in terms of time. I lost touch with him after COVID, or just before COVID, and the saddest thing for me is that he moved to Norfolk, which I didn't know, which is where I live, and I never got to go and visit him in Norfolk, and we lost him last week to cancer, and
Oh, I'm so sorry.
yeah, well, I it's cancer, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
but it's sad when someone that inspired you so much has gone, because it means their life's had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you
Yeah.
always want people to just keep going. But I do know that he passed peacefully, and his loved ones were around him and stuff. So there's no tragedy in terms of how he went out. Other than
right.
it must have been fucking horrible.
Yeah.
And but I just remember he came at the guitar on a different level to most people. He had to do everything differently, which didn't ingratiate himself to a lot of people. I mean, he did have a career of falling out with people, but I'm glad to say I never got the sharp end of him, which is really nice, really nice. But he did. I mean, Johnny Rotten doesn't think a great deal of him, online and what have you. And yeah, it's just because he's very, very upfront about what he thinks. I played him a bit of music that I'd done, and I tried to make it a bit pill-like and what have you, and he just said, "That's awful. It's just rock and roll." It's just, and I knew what he meant. He wasn't saying it to be horrible, and then he explained why he didn't like it, and I thought, yeah, you're right, actually. It's all power chords and stuff like that. I hadn't really thought about, but it's people who make me rethink music are kind of my favorite people. Because
Right.
if you get too comfortable, you'll just stick in the circle that you feel comfortable, and you can't
Right.
sort of move out. And so I like it when I get pushed, and that's why I play with a lot of younger artists, for instance. I'd love to play. I produced an EP and played all the instruments on an EP by this girl called Sasha Luffman, who was like 16 when I started working with her. And I love the fact that in the studio, the dynamic was she didn't know anything about recording, and I was the one with the, sort of knowledge and what have you. But she's got a young head on her shoulder. And I remember putting a guitar track down, and she went, "That sounds a bit 80s, Dave." And I realised I was going for the, chorus, bit of echo, bit of gain sort of thing, just the sort of goth 80s sound. So I said, "All right then, okay." And I went through my pedals and stuff and said, "Yeah, tell me what you like." And then she stopped at one and went, "That one, I really like that one." So I did a guitar track using that thing. She was absolutely right. Absolutely right. And it suddenly sounded a bit more modern. And I love learning. I don't care whether it's from a 16 or 60-year-old. I love learning
There
more,
you go.
more stuff.
But
Yeah.
those are the most honest people, because they're not going to blow smoke up your ass and be like, "Oh, that's
Yeah,
really really good.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
really good." When they push you to, go further musically, and they really make you rethink your craft, and maybe,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
where can I improve here? Well, maybe I can try this. That's
yeah,
that's a beautiful thing.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I love it. And I love the fact, because she didn't know about the studio or anything. She'd go, "Is it possible to like," and then she'd ask me like
Oh,
for a sound or something. Go, "Yeah, yeah, I can do that. I can do that." It was brilliant. It was absolutely. So I really like working with young artists. If they need me, you know,
That's
that's a
amazing. I like that. Yeah.
she's really.
Lisa,
You can
go
check
for
out
it. I
you
know
can
you have a
check out
couple
Sasha
questions.
Luffman on YouTube as well. So
Awesome. Awesome. At what age did you start becoming a musician? Like in your younger years, how old were you?
well, I with a guy that owned a guitar, I did an assembly at 11.
Wow. Okay.
It was probably awful. Thankfully, no one had phones back then, or even really video cameras that were It was probably dreadful when we were
Probably
called.
like those 8mm. You could probably find those back then.
Yeah. We were called the Dolomites or something like that, and then the next school I went to, I had a band called Metamorphosis. This is all drumming,
Oh, okay.
and it just kept going. And like, I mean, I could bore you senseless with the amount of bands between leaving school and finally sort of hooking up with my, going professional, if you like. But so there was a lot, and there was a few near misses as well. I was in what I consider a brilliant band in 1992 called Stare, as in staring with your eyes.
Oh, okay.
And we got signed to Big Life Records, did 3 singles, and then got dropped on Christmas Eve. But that's another story.
Oh,
But I honestly, to this day, the albums and stuff, that the albums worth of tracks stuff did actually get a release about sort of 5 years ago, and I just think they're brilliant. And I was lucky enough to be the sort of second guitarist, live guitarist, and Stare, I just think, are a lost band. I mean, we've all got them, I'm sure. It's like, why isn't this band massive? But I just think management. We had a bad record company as well. The record company, right, forgot to put the barcode on the first single, so it didn't get blipped by any of the chart return shops. And then the second single, which was called Work, and it was more about not wanting to get up in the morning rather than sort of work. But because it was called Work, they released it in the week of a general election in this country, which means anything that appears to be any sort of political thing gets blacklisted. We got blacklisted on the week of release.
oh no.
And so it was just disastrous, really. I don't know what they thought they would do. I mean,
Oh,
I don't run a record company. I don't know how it works, but that didn't work. And so, our star sank fairly quickly. But I still say Stare is an incredible band. Plenty of Stare on YouTube as well.
Very cool.
But we supported the Damned and stuff like that. It was great. It was good stuff. It was good stuff.
Now, go ahead, Lisa.
what was your first concert you went to when you were younger that you went to?
Right. I have to answer this in 2 ways, really, because
Okay.
the first one was, do you in Canada and America, do you know Toya?
No.
Well, she's an early punk artist, and I was well into Toya's first sort of 2 or 3 albums, and she's still going today, but she's just a little bit family friendly now for me, but she was quite sort of, she was quite scary back then, and I wanted to go and see her. I went to see her in a place called West Runton Pavilion, and I'd never been to a gig before, and I was just this little kid, I was about 13 or something, and I never heard anything so loud. It was actually the support band came on, and they were so loud. I honestly thought I was going to faint. It sounds really un-rock and roll now, and I'm sure there's people that just went, "Oh, you wuss." But if I'd just known that I should have worn earplugs or something, but
Right.
it was too loud for that room. Really, I now learn that people shouldn't put PAs that size in rooms that size. But it just scared me, so I went and stood outside, and it annoys me to this day. But I never went back in. It was just too blisteringly loud. I could hear it from outside, so the first one I actually went into, which did actually shape some of my later career, was I was helping out in a record shop, because again, I was still only about 13, 14. I was helping out in a record shop, and they'd pay me 1 album if I worked all day, just getting it. It was in vinyl days, and I had to go and get the thing, and they bring the sleeve up, and I had to go and find the actual record. And we'd sell gigs for the local tickets. Yeah, tickets. We'd sell tickets to local gigs and stuff. And in April 1981, a band called The Cure came and played.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Came and played St Andrew's Hall. And
every time I hear that name, The Cure, it takes me back to The Wedding Singer, right, Lisa?
That's right. Yes.
Which song's in that? Which song's in that? Is it Friday I'm in Love or something?
Shall we sing it to David?
Yes, let's get it.
Okay, so you don't
know
how
much
I need you.
Love you, need you.
Remember that song that Adam Sandler does where he's like, well, it's all bullshit.
It was a goddamn joke.
So
And
basically,
when I
before he
think
did that,
of you, Linda, I hope you fucking choke.
but before he did that, before he sang that song, he's like, "Okay, I just want to warn you that when I wrote this, I was listening to The Cure a lot." So
Yes.
Right.
anyway,
So basically, you know, it was just all brilliant chance stuff. It's like towards the end of the day, a guy came in to collect the money for the tickets for the Cure concert because it was that night, and he just said to me, "Are you going?" And he said, and I said, "Oh, I don't know." I said, I was a few months ago. I went to see Toya, and it was just like I said, it blew my head off. And he said, "Well, you know, wear some earplugs or something like that." He said, "Do you want to come and meet the band now?" And I actually said no at that point. I just sort of, I just thought, "Oh God, I don't know." And I hadn't really heard of them. I knew they'd had a forest, and I quite liked a forest, you know. But basically, what a wonderful guy! And I literally last year I spoke to Lowell Tolhurst from The Cure, and he said he told me the name Chris someone, and I can't remember now, but it was their tour manager, obviously, you know. I now understand that now. And he said, "Well, look, if you want to come along, I'll put your name on the door." And I had a friend that said she'd come with me that worked in the shop as well, much older, like to me, really old, 18 or something, you know. And so we met outside. We went in. The guy spotted us, and he allowed me to stand on the mixing desk platform
oh, very cool.
Okay.
from there. And then afterwards, he took me backstage, and he said, "Yeah, you could come and see them. I told them about you." You know, that you're this little kid that's working in a record shop and plays in a band and stuff like that. And he
Oh,
sat me next to Lowell Tolhurst, and you know, again, cut long
Oh,
story short, I'm still friends with Lowell now, but it did result in me over the years being in the studio with The Cure, going to a lot of gigs, hanging out a lot, going to the pub,
wow.
and that sort of thing. And I learned so much. I was sitting in on rehearsals and stuff, and I just learned so much, and how a real band works. Because although you know they're a very successful band, at the end of rehearsal, I remember we all piled into Phil Thornley's yellow Volkswagen Beetle. Robert in the front, Phil driving, me and Lol in the back, and just you know dropping everyone off gradually around Maida Vale and stuff. And I just thought, God, it's quite normal, but it's awesome, you know, because I just thought
right.
their job is to just rehearse and then go and record something and then go and play it in
Yeah.
front of a load of people. I thought, well,
That's
that really,
perfect.
that seems
Mhm.
like a good idea. I like that. And
Yeah.
Lowell was really very much a mentor for me. You know, I've got lots of letters from Lowell and stuff like that. And Robert was a really top chap as well. And it's really good. I haven't seen Robert for a long time. And I would love to because Andy Anderson, one of the drummers for The Cure, passed away a couple of years back, and he was a friend of mine as well. We'd played in a band since The Cure together, and when he died, I went to the funeral memorial service, and I picked up a couple of extra orders of service. They were really nice, lovely picture of Andy on the front and sort of, and I thought I'll send one to Robert. So, but I hadn't got his address, but I had got his parents' address. Um, so, as I often used to do, if I was sending something to Lol or whatever when he was on the move and what have you, I'd send it to Robert Smith's parents, you know, and they'd always pass it on. And I found out like couple of months later that both his parents had passed away, you know,
Oh,
and the thing is, that's when it hit me how massive they are now because I just suddenly realised I can't ring anyone. There's no point me trying to get through to their management or their record company and say, "Oh no, I'm a friend from ages ago." You know, it just wouldn't work. How many people try that? You know.
right.
So yeah, it's a massive. It was a big stepping stone of my life, that whole Cure type sort of period. Um, but I did meet Lowell again face to face about 3 years ago when his book came out. I went to a book signing. We had a really nice chat and met his wife for the first time, which was really nice. So it's funny though. I do find it. I don't think of them as famous because I kind of knew them when they weren't that famous. You know,
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
and I find it a bit sad now that I'd love to go to a Cure concert, but not if I can't go back afterwards and say hello. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
Yes.
I
Those are
consider
your those are your
these are
mates.
people I used to know as kind of, you know, certainly friends of friends, if not friends. I mean, Lowell definitely was a friend, and Robert was his mate, if you like. You know, that's how I saw it.
Sure, yeah.
And So yeah, that was that. I don't know how we went down that route. How did we go down that route?
First concert.
Oh yeah, first concert. So my
Yeah.
first proper concert was the Faith tour. They called it the Picture Tour. Opened with a weird film with all these weird sort of plasticine figures moving around, and then the band came on, and they were so atmospheric. And this place only held about 300 or something. It was, but it was incredible, really, really good. And that was the moment I really thought I want to do that. I want to do. I mean, I'd already watched Sweet on Top of the Pops and thought that looks good, But then I realised you actually could do it as a. You didn't have to go and work in a factory or in an office or something like that. And so
do what you want and enjoy and
yeah,
do what you want to do, right?
do
So
what,
what
do what
was
you love and love what you do.
Before
exactly that's what I say a lot. Do what you love and love what you do. Yes.
so Lisa, before we go back to you, I just need to go to the board for a quick second.
Sure.
So before I ask, so we got a bunch of people chiming in, but before I ask a couple of questions that are coming up, I just want to say, if you are viewing the show tonight through Facebook, either give StreamYard permission to use your name or just type your name next to your comment so we know who is chiming in. So we've got, hi everyone, hello everyone. But we don't know who you are, but if you're watching, thank you so much. We also have Susan. My mom is actually tuning in. She says, greetings. I love Sweet. How long did you play with Sweet?
Oh, no, I didn't play with them. They were the band that I saw on a program called Top of the Pops.
Okay.
That were just, I just loved I mean, Mick Tucker had this double bass drum kit and it was like silver, and I loved that band, and like
Nice.
the Desolation Boulevard album is the album I would send someone to, and strung up the live one with, because their B-sides, I'm sure as your mum would know, is the B-sides were more like Deep Purple or something. I actually wasn't that. I wasn't that into things like, certainly not things like Wigwam Bam and stuff like that. That wasn't my thing at all.
Yeah, she says it's one of her favorites. Yeah.
Which one? Which?
Uh,
Desolation Boulevard.
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is the rock album. That and Sweet Fanny Adams are the two real rockers, And like I say, they would have liked to have been Deep Purple. They just sort of caught the wave of glam rock, and they never really wriggled out of it. But if you look a bit harder than just Ballroom Blitz and Blockbuster and stuff, there are some absolutely phenomenal tracks. That, really heavy metal tracks.
Right.
So I didn't get to play with them, but I did. I did get to write a 3-page piece on Mick Tucker's funeral when he passed away, and I was that was nice to get that done. And so I went to his funeral. I met Andy Scott and Steve Priest, who were there. But it's not really the occasion to go, hey, I'm a really, really big fan. Can I have a picture with you?
Yeah,
So
I get you. Yeah.
that's happened a few times when I've been sadly at people's funerals, and there's someone like mega famous there, and you go, oh, hi, yeah, sorry about the, blah, blah, and you just think,
wish you could meet under better circumstances,
Yeah, different time.
But no, she actually says that Sweet is one of her favorites. She clarified that. But she does have another question. She wants to know if you have a favorite Canadian band.
I do. I mean, I love the obvious ones like Rush and Triumph and stuff like that. But no, I love, because I do have a bit of a thing for, I think, particularly now, although this isn't a band from now, particularly now, I think women are absolutely nailing it in rock music.
They are.
So many, that just, it seems like every album I buy is either female fronted or is an all-girl band, and it's not because they're girls, and it's not because they're, I was actually once the drummer in an all-girl band other than me. I was Compact Pussycat.
So cool.
Well, super cool.
Yes.
I was just filling in for 3 months on maternity leave because Ella, the drummer with Compact Pussycat, I was their roadie, and she needed to take 3 months off to have a baby, and instead of trying to train up another female drummer and then have to ask her to leave, they just said, Dave, will you do it? And so for 3 months I was the drummer in an all-girl band.
Oh.
But I do think that they. And what was the original question? Sorry, I went off on a tangent.
So, do you have a favorite Canadian band?
Yeah. The B Girls, which is they are a sort of late 70s slightly heavier B-52s
Okay. Yep.
without a male in them. You don't get Fred Schneider going, "Let's rock."
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the greatest moments in rock and roll, hasn't it? Fred
Aw.
Schneider shouting, "Let's rock."
Yeah.
But yeah, the B-Girls, I love them, and they managed to get a compilation of all their sort of bits and pieces tracks, because I think they only released like 2 singles or something back in the day, and that, but they were really, really good, and I really like them. So yeah, the B-Girls, but I do love Rush, and I do like Triumph Rock and Roll Machine. I've got it on silver metal vinyl,
Nice.
and
You had all the cool vinyls, and you had a copy of Psycho Circus before I did. That's not right. That's not right, my friend.
Yeah, but I think, Kandi, look on the bright side. It's because I'm infinitely older than you are.
So what?
Yeah,
That don't matter.
Granddad got a version before you did.
So what? Anyway, go for it, Lisa. We'll go back to the board in a little bit, but again, keep those questions coming, guys. And if you are viewing through Facebook, make sure you put your name next to your comment. All right.
So that way
Sound
know
good?
who you are.
Awesome. All right, Lisa, back to you.
Awesome.
Okay. So, what do you like most about touring?
Meeting the people, traveling, seeing different places. I mean, it's all going to be rather cliche, I'm afraid. You know.
Right. Yeah.
And just meeting all these people that have turned up because they're there to see what you've come to offer them, sort of thing. It's such a lovely, it's a really lovely thing that, I mean, you get a false impression of the world, I think, because everywhere you go, people are going, "Hi, it's lovely to see you," you know, and thanks for coming and that, you know. And I don't think there's another job in the world that when you finish your job, people are patting you on the back and asking if they can have a picture with you and would you sign this thing. You know, it's an absurd thing, really. But no, I love it. But I did love. It's all the things that happen to you as well. You know, just stories after stories. That's why people take the mickey out of like musicians that get together and chat and stuff. But you can't help it. Things will happen if you're going to travel around the world with a bunch of people playing music and you know there's an audience and all that sort of stuff. It was but I miss things because I was really thick at school, you know. I really wasn't. I'm never going to be an academic, and so I just went for what I was good at, which was kind of music, you know. And but it led to me just having surreal moments like sitting on Copacabana beach in Brazil on a day off from
Nice.
and I remember there's a guy walking along and he had this wheelbarrow full of those green coconuts and stuff, and he just lopped the top off. It was 50p. He lopped the top off and put a straw in it and handed it to me, and I sat there looking at the water thinking, technically I'm getting paid for doing this.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what I mean? And it's those and just lovely moments and the things you see and the places you go. When we went to Italy, went for a walk around St. Peter's Square in Rome, and just so many places and places that I'd heard of but never been. Switzerland, Austria, sorry, not Australia. Never made it to Australia. That's really annoying. And, Australia and Japan are the two places that I've been lifetime. You know, Japan in particular. You know, I just love the Blade Runner-ness of it all. And,
Right.
But yeah,
What's the craziest thing that happened while you were on tour?
what that I can repeat.
Yeah.
You can repeat anything you want.
You can sugarcoat it or something, however you want to do it.
Yeah, no, I'm just remembering a particular night in Brazil, but I'm not going to go there.
Okay. It's a crazy night in Brazil. That's all we need to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think being English and a tea drinker led me down a wrong path at one point because I'd realised on the first American tour I did, we got to the hotel and although I bought my tea bags, I didn't realise they didn't put milk in your room or sugar or anything like that. Not the Motel 8 we were staying at anyway. And I was like desperate. I couldn't go and get anything. So I thought I'll be clever on the second tour.
Okay.
So in clear see-through zip bags, you can see where this is going. I put some sugar and some powdered milk in these separate bags and put them in my suitcase. And when we got to LAX or wherever it was, Chicago, I think we flew into. They see, you know, musician on your passport or whatever it is, and can we have a look in your bag? Yeah, sure. So you know,
no.
lifting up the boxer shorts and what have you, and they just picked up these 2 bags, and I suddenly realised what I'd done, and it was like, oh no! I said, no, it's milk, it's dried milk and sugar, and there's all these conversations going on. I said, no, honestly, it's look, here's some tea bags in the same sort of bag, but
Oh,
no,
no.
I had to hold everybody up, and I had to hold everybody up, and for 2 hours, I think it was, while they tested it.
Oh, no.
So that was fun. That was fun. And I always get that sort of thing. For some reason, like when we were doing Norway, we did Bergenfest in Norway, which was good for several things, not least being getting trapped in a lift with Ellie Goulding and Marina from the Diamonds. That was pretty cool. But no, the other thing of that I remember was what was it? The thing that happened in Norway? I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, that's right. When we again off the aeroplane, walking along, and they just had the little drug dogs coming along and having a sniff of everybody. And of course, the darn thing sits down next to me,
Oh,
wagging
no.
its tail. So I get pulled out of the lineup, and I remember Glenn Matlock looking at me like, and I went, "No," it's like, "No, what is it?" And yeah, it turned out. Luckily, they believed me. I must have been I must have had that look on my face of like, "What the hell's going on?" But they asked me a
Yeah.
series of questions, which ended in, "Have you been around marijuana at all?" And I had to confess. I said, "Yeah, I was wearing these trousers last night, and I was in a room where someone was having a joint, and it just obviously it was the smoke on my trousers because I hadn't changed my jeans to travel in, and it just."
Oh, okay. So
Of course,
probably smelled that.
I'd
Yeah.
never be so stupid as to do that. No, that's not me at all. So yeah, that was pretty scary. That was pretty scary because I wondered. Oh, and in France, we had a female singer in the band that I was in, and I spotted this guy who, why I don't know, a big beefy bloke as well, and but he had a box of matches, and he kept putting matches and flicking them at our female singer, who was wearing a sort of basque and suspenders and stuff, and what have you, so she wasn't covered, But
Right.
he just kept holding up this matchbox and flicking these matches, and they would ignite in the air and what have you,
Oh.
And then she just ignored it. Whether she saw it or not, I don't know, because they all whistled past her. It wasn't a brilliant shot, but then later on, I saw him actually starting to get up onto the barrier. So I sort of tapped one of the security guards and just went, "Look, this guy," and the guy just turned around and ignored me completely. And I just thought, he's going for her. I could see that was he had it in his eyes and stuff. So all I could think of doing was taking my guitar off, using it like a cricket bat, and belting the guy with it back into the crowd.
Exactly.
Which I did, and that's the last I saw of him, and until in the dressing room afterwards, the gendarme French police turned up, and took me away I got out at about 4 o'clock in the morning, but I didn't know what was going on. I didn't speak good enough French to be able to sort of say to them, "Why am I here? What is this?" And obviously,
Right.
the coward had done me for assault, tried to do me for assault, but there were too many witnesses that saw what he was doing, so it wasn't a problem. And
I never heard this story.
no, and continuing that theme, I did a session when I was doing sessions and stuff. It was the first time at the studio in Cambridge, and I was staying in this lovely cottage with the rest of the band. There's like two female backing singers, well, one singer, one backing singer, and a couple of others in this cottage. And I just remember it was about 6:45 in the morning. The session's about to start maybe 10 o'clock in the morning, so not expected to get up that early, Suddenly there's just this crack, this loud bang, and I was sleeping with my back to the noise, and I just thought, "What's this?" And as I rolled over, I just saw this guy in like a helmet with a face mask, a face visor, with a gun, with police written on the side.
Oh, no.
It was a drugs raid that I knew nothing about. I was about to be part of an ass kicking that I had nothing to do with whatsoever.
Oh no.
And I just remember the guy saying, stand up, right, I want you to rise to your feet. Any sudden movement will be taken as a sign of aggression. Do you understand? And I remember saying to the guy, I don't understand anything. I'm not absolutely sure where I am right now because I
Oh no.
was asleep. And yeah, what it turned out, right, is that the caretaker of the studio was supplying Cambridge. They'd been watching him for months. It just happened that I arrived on the wrong night, for the morning.
Oh
No.
man.
It's called Project something, but basically, yeah, the caretaker had been supplying Cambridge with cannabis, coke, and small firearms.
Ooh, not good.
I didn't know that. None of the band knew that. It was not our studio. It's just like something, but it's really weird because like the entire band were in jail cells until about 12 o'clock that day, and none of us knew what on earth was going on. But it was, I just remember sitting in the back with in the back of the police van with looking at the singer, Annette, and just going, what just happened? And the whole courtyard of the studio is just full of police vehicles and dogs and stuff. It was really scary. So that's some of the non-skin related things that have happened on tour.
Oh my goodness. Things that you couldn't get out of, didn't know what you were.
It's probably
And
enough. And
do.
also, I don't want to explain what and then have either of you power vomit into the lens.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
Well, there's another funny story. I remember you telling me a number of years ago. You have been to Toronto once, right?
Yeah.
It was you were playing with Glenn Matlock, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
First of all, about Toronto, like what were some of the sights you remember and what you enjoyed doing there?
Sorry, can you repeat that? You froze for a second there.
Oh shoot! No, I was just asking before we get into the story that I'm about to bring up from your time in Toronto. What do you remember most about it? The sights and different things that you got to do in Toronto, like on your sort of off days or your days off or something. Like what do you remember most about Toronto?
I actually remember the temperature and the snow. Because Glenn, for some reason, had the brilliant idea of touring in December. And it was about, I don't know, 16 below or something. I just remember thinking, I could breathe in, but I can't breathe out, And yeah, it was amazing. The weather was absolutely extraordinary. And the last day in Sarnia got cancelled by the police, because they said there's a blizzard coming in. And that was amazing. And so, yeah, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but the weather, I'd never seen anything like it. We got to a club, can't quite remember what the
in Toronto.
Was. No, in somewhere else.
It wasn't the Bovine, was it?
It was called Call the Office.
Okay.
And it's basically outside. There just seemed to be these just mounds and mounds of snow, and and then I was thinking they're massive, and then I realised there was like a wing mirror sticking out of one of them, and it's like little cars, but they were completely covered. Oh, it's brilliant. That was absolutely hysterical. I really enjoyed that. But there's and we played some really interesting places. There was a place called, I think it
the
might
Bovine Sex Club.
The Bovine Sex Club, yeah, that was a disappointment because it was nothing like that. Obviously, it's just a and on the wall of the place, there's like a cow in high heels. And,
cow in high heels. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know why it's called that, but it was great. That was a really good one, actually. That was really good.
Bovine kind of makes sense if there was a big cow on the wall and heels.
Yes, that's right. And our support band that night was New York Junk, which the lead singer and bass player is Cynthia from the B Girls. So I was really excited to meet her, and yeah, that's really, really good.
So, super cool.
I remember that. I remember obviously the white cheddar popcorn that you can't get in England, and just walking around with white stained fingers the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I loved it though. I really loved it. But I'd like to go back and see Toronto, like when it's easier to walk and breathe.
Right.
I'd love to sit in the sunshine. It'd be really nice.
And you need to see Niagara Falls. If you come up to Toronto, you got to drive that extra hour and a half.
It's a deal.
That's a beautiful sight right there. Yeah.
So you mentioned obviously you came to Toronto and it was like 16 below is ridiculously cold.
Yeah.
Something happened while you were on tour. You had the bright idea to put something in the back of the truck.
Oh, that was, yeah, it wasn't deliberate, but it was Quebec. That was
Okay.
Quebec. It's basically we parked the van outside the hotel, yeah, it wasn't deliberate. We didn't know it was going to happen, but basically there was just a couple of bottles of beer in the back, and in the morning when we sort of slid the door back from the bus and stuff, they'd exploded because it had been so cold. The liquid had not only frozen, but it had expanded, and it was just this beer bottle shaped. Well, it was basically iced beer, wasn't it? Really, it's like all the glass had pretty much gone. It was all over the floor and what have you. But there was just this. That was amazing. I've never known temperatures like it. Yes, that's the
If
picture.
only it would come into focus. Hang on.
Yeah,
There we go.
yeah, there
That's a
you
bit
go.
better.
Yeah, Beck's
Oh,
good.
I see now. Okay. Yeah.
I'd never seen that.
Wow.
Before. I'd never seen that before, and it makes you think, like, some people sleep in vans on tour. That you'd have died, I think, if that had
Super
happened.
cold weather there. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it, but I love all this sort of weird thing. Went to an amazing restaurant in Italy because, and I'm not going to say what band it was with, because the main person in the band said the record company had taken us out, by the way, so have what you fucking like. And
Oh dear.
and so I had the most amazing meal. I had steak and everything. It was like just whatever that I couldn't possibly afford if it's coming out of my pocket.
There you go. There you go.
Courtesy of the record company, so that was nice. I like that.
Oh, very cool. Okay, Lisa, what do you think about? We're already an hour in. We've been having such a good time so far.
Oh,
Why don't
God.
we go to some fun questions?
Sure, let's
What do you
do
think?
that.
David, what do you think? How about some fun questions?
Yes, I might need a cigarette on the go while you do this for the nerves.
No worries. Of course. Whatever
Yep,
you want.
fire it up.
All right, Lisa, go ahead. Kick it off.
Okay, my favorite question of the night. If you were in a hot tub time machine and you're setting the dial, where are you going?
Hot tub time.
Well, let me interject for a second. Now that you know me, you'd probably go back to 2010.
Yeah.
Come back to Toronto. No.
Yeah. And give you a ring. The serious question, the serious answer would be, I would love to see the Pistols gig at Winterland, the last one, January the 14th, 1978. Just, no deference to Glenn, obviously, because he was replaced by Sid by that point. But I had that gig on a really ropey sort of third generation video for years. And then finally, when the Pistols reformed, they put it out on DVD as a cleaned up version. But it's clearly hell on toast when it comes to a gig. They were completely out of their depth. I think Winterland is 3,500 people, 4,000 and stuff. They'd never played to more than a few hundred, and the band was breaking up. I know that Johnny Rotten had a cold, and Sid was deep in his heroin thing. Steve Jones had just had enough. Paul Cook didn't really know what to do, and it was all falling apart. But it's just such a blistering performance that. And I would love to have been there, and it's not even Winterland now; it's Winterland Apartments. They've turned it into Winterland Apartments, and so you can't go and visit it. Because I'm quite glad that, being a Pistols fan, I've played a few venues that the Pistols played. We played Tulsa. Oh God, what's the ballroom in Tulsa? Kane's Ballroom in Tulsa, and then we did. My favourite was doing the Longhorn Ballroom in Texas, Dallas, Texas, because that's the only other full Pistols gig from that tour that exists. And to me, it was like playing a church. It was incredible, because the one angle you don't see is when they walk off. You don't see where they go. And now I know where the dressing rooms are, and all the stories from that gig as well. It's like, oh my God. And all the press photographs, it's like, oh my God, that was there in that corner on, that sort of thing. It was absolutely fantastic. And I was stood being a guitarist. I was stage left, so I was exactly where Steve Jones was, and he's a hero of mine as well, guitar wise. So that was amazing. And so yeah, I'd say those sort of things. Was that an answer to a question, or did I just go flailing on?
No, that's cool. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Time machine, if it's a musical thing and it's a serious question, then it's that. If not, I don't know.
Okay.
a swimming pool with Tracy Lords in it in 1984 or something.
Oh, there you go.
Let me just interject for a second. Okay, so Lisa, yesterday you and I were on the Metal Summit, and they asked what is the best question or best answer you've ever received. I remember what it was.
What was it?
So Martin Motnick, a couple weeks ago, you had asked him the hot tub time machine question.
Yes.
And he said, well, first of all, you guys would be in it with me.
Yay.
But he did say, okay, I want to go to this coming Saturday or next Saturday, get the numbers, come back, the Powerball numbers, and win the lottery.
Right. That's
what it was. So Jay Oakley, if you're watching, that was the answer that we were looking for.
Anyway. That's the one.
It's like the guy in Back to the Future having that book of all the sports stuff, isn't it?
Yeah,
just betting,
exactly.
Betting on all the sports before they happen.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now my favorite question. If you were stranded on a desert island, what 5 items would you want to bring with you?
A working record player. Is there electricity?
If you want there to be, sure.
Yes.
Yes. This is your yes.
And I would say if it's an item, am I allowed to have like a 10-foot box of my record collection?
Sure.
That's one item of whatever you want in it. There you go.
I'm a real vinyl nut. I just love something about playing records that makes me just.
I know. I love that too. I got a full collection upstairs, and I want to pull them out, play it on my stereo. I just love that. It just brings back every wonderful feeling of when they first come out. Yeah.
And I sorry if this sounds like an item. I don't mean it to be an item, but am I allowed to take a woman?
Yes. Of course.
Okay.
You sure can.
Well, I won't make any favorites, but I'll just say, a woman. Because companionship, of course, talking.
There you go.
So is that 2 more items? Probably a guitar. Have a noodle around and stuff, and some sort of way of having constant food. Somehow,
I was thinking that food. You gotta have food.
Yeah, I'm gonna call it food and drink just to get away from the fact that could be 6. But yeah, food and drink. And I think I'd probably be all right with that. I'd be all right with that.
Awesome.
Okay, what about what's the weirdest question you've ever been asked in an interview?
God, there are some good ones, aren't there? Oh gosh, I don't want to give you loads of dead air. Can I think about that one while we're?
Sure.
People do come completely out of. Oh, I know. Yeah, somebody did ask me: are the Cure as miserable? Is Robert Smith as miserable as he appears to be? And I said no. It's exactly the opposite. To be honest, I think he's got a dark way of writing and an atmospheric way of writing and stuff. But all my experiences with the Cure in general have been fun. Fun time, going for a curry, going down the pub, and watching videos in the studio and stuff that I'd never seen before and things like Videodrome. Robert was the first person that showed me Videodrome, the James Wood, Debbie Harry Videodrome thing. That's David Cronenberg film. And that was brilliant. It's fun though. It's fun. Pool tournaments, all that sort of stuff. Just like a normal bunch of people. It's just that I think they were just really good at getting atmospherics going and channeling whatever dark stuff was going on into the music rather than into themselves. So yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Lisa?
So what's on your bucket list? What's your craziest thing you want to do, or just whatever you might have on your bucket list?
Well, I have to say, I sort of mentioned it before. I'd love to go to Japan. It's not particularly crazy, but I would love to go to Japan. And there's a promoter guy manager called Tom Wilcox. So I absolutely loved to bits. He was the one that got me into the Bowie stuff with Holy Holy, playing with Tony Visconti and Woody Woodmansey from the Spiders of Mars and stuff. That was amazing. And all the other people, that were all sort of, Lisa Ronson, Mick Ronson's daughter, and Maggie Ronson, his sister.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. But yeah, he's often pulled me into projects, but he's got this new project that's doing a few London shows and stuff, which is with Clem Burke, who's a friend of mine as well, and Katie Puckrick, singer, And you know, and it's like an all-star band and stuff. So there isn't really any space for me in there, I suppose. But of course, where are they going? Where are they going after London in the new year? Japan. And I just think, well, why couldn't that have been one of the bands I was in? I'll never get over there. I've missed playing in Japan about 3 times because either the band that I was in, like, I left or something, and then that was the next thing they did, or it had a lineup change or something like that, and it was just a different thing. But I've got to get there one day. I'd love to go to Japan. That's my, like I say, I'm sorry it's not particularly crazy, but just love the Blade Runnerness of it. You know, all that sort of stuff. Just the massive buildings and
now
with
before
tellies on them.
now, but Lisa, before I kick it back to you, let me preface this next question, David, by telling everyone kind of how you and I met and how we became acquainted.
Yeah.
What was it, back in like 2014 or 15 or something like that? You heard me on the Strange Ways podcast, and we bonded over the fact that we both disliked Gene Simmons. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, yeah.
So obviously, you know, we started talking and got into all these, you know, musically related conversations, mostly about Kiss. I remember you telling me this one story, a friend of yours that I guess used to work with Peter Criss. Can you clarify that and maybe tell the story?
It was the bass player in a band I was touring with, and you know, to protect the innocent, I won't say which band it was or which bass player it was, but we sat around the table one night, and I said, "So, you know, what have you done? What were you doing before this tour and stuff?" And he said, "Oh, I had a weird one, you know." He said, a friend of mine called me and said, "You know, would you like to play on a Peter Criss album? He's thinking of doing a sort of all-out swing album." And so my friend said, yeah, that'd be brilliant. Yeah, great. So they went to Peter Criss's house. And I mean, he told me quite a few stories, but the one that just cracked me up is that, and I don't know what sort of period, this is obviously after he'd left for the second time and things weren't good, but he's got like gold discs and Kiss paraphernalia all over the walls and stuff.
I
And
love this story.
And apparently, every time he went up the stairs or something, he'd stop in front of Gene Simmons and just go, "You fucking asshole!" You know.
Oh my Lord! Oh my Lord!
I'd go into the kitchen to stick the kettle on for some, you know, coffees or whatever and stuff, and he'd stop in front of Paul Stanley and go, "You fucker!" He's not over it. He's not over it. Clearly, you know. But yeah, that did. I just thought that was fun. I feel sorry for him though to have that much anger, but I mean, you know, he did kind of shoot himself in the foot twice.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's the short story. It's a really funny fucking story.
I mean, I love Peter Criss. Don't get me wrong. Again,
oh, definitely
another drummer that I listen to passionately, and I just thought, you know, right up until maybe Kiss Live 2. That sort of thing. He was absolutely the top of his game. You know, in 1977, I think it was incredible. 76, 77, and what have you. And then it's again, like I say, that's the only downer with this business is the watching people damage themselves with either drink or substances. And I'm no holy Joe, believe me, but I never let it affect. I would never let it affect. I don't do either of those things when I'm working, because I just think it would affect my timing as a drummer and my, if you'll excuse the expression, fingering technique as a guitarist. And you know what I mean?
Okay, you got to understand, I've had a dry spell here for 2 years, so any sort of innuendo.
No, but I just think you lose. I don't want to lose even a scintilla of doing the job, because often you have to remember I'm working for someone else. In all seriousness, you know, it's like I'm playing someone else's songs, and I've got to get it right. And I'm not going to turn up drunk or off my head. You know, it's not fair. And they're paying me to do a job. I'm loving the job, and I'm probably in a place I love, and I'm enjoying making a noise and on whatever instrument it is. But the bottom line is, I've been employed to play correctly and in time, and all the other stuff like show up on time. You know, I am one of those guys. If a tour manager says to be in a hotel reception at 9:30, I'm there at 9:20. You know,
There you go.
I don't want to be the guy that's holding the bus up or anything, you know, and that sort of thing.
There you go.
So.
Have you ever met the Choir Boys?
Oh, what, the band, the Choir Boys?
What's that?
The band, the Choir Boys, with a
Yes.
kid.
Yes.
No, but I've seen them live. They were very,
Yes.
very good. I've even got right to the right of me here. Are all my my 7-inch singles.
That's what she said.
Hey, there's my 7 inches. Oh, madam.
Nice.
That is awesome, though.
Yeah, there's yeah. I've got a good one in here somewhere. Queen.
Ooh, Queen's a good one.
Nice. Yes.
I do love a bit of Queen. Yeah,
What's your favorite Queen song?
I've got the square 7-inch picture disc of "There She Goes Again."
Nice. Oh, my favorite song is 7:00 in the morning or something like that. Yes. Oh, sweet.
7:00, gatefold 7-inch.
Ah, look at that.
And it's also got a weird sort of sleeve that.
Oh, that's square. Oh, wow. Let me see that again.
It's well, it's a normal single. It's just that it's got a little hole in the sleeve, so you see.
So you see it like that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a black vinyl. It's a black vinyl 7-inch, but yeah.
No. Oh, yeah.
Produced by the mighty Ron Nevison. Excellent. So yeah, 7:00, backed with "Pretty Girls."
Oh,
so, yeah.
I love that song.
Believe me, we could play this game all night if you just say, "Have you got anything by?" Yeah, probably.
There you go. There you go.
I love it.
Do you have anything by Bruno Mars? No.
No, I don't.
I'm just kidding. Exactly. No. See how I got you.
That's funny.
I do have some surprising, albums that you'd be surprising. I mean, I've definitely the first 3 albums. Madonna, I have all 3 of those. That's all right.
Cool.
No, back in the day.
Store. Oh, that's my favorite. Yeah, I love that one.
Now, do you have the Psycho Circus vinyl? Do you have it handy?
I do. Yeah, I have it handy, Kandi. Just wait for a moment.
Candy. Woo!
Candy. Oh, man. But yeah, definitely, guys, keep those questions coming. I see a few more are coming up.
Yeah, I see some more on there.
When David comes back, we do have a funny one coming up. Oh, my gosh. All right, so David, we had a comment. Hang on one second. We had a comment come up. Wised up. Hi, David. It's Denise. Just woke up at 3:15 when you said, "I do love a bit of sausage. Your reputation is safe with me." Amy, we'll get to your song or your question in just a minute because I got to see this vinyl because it's pretty darn cool. Look at that. It's the special one. It's like the hologram, whatever the heck it's called.
Oh,
look at that.
Oh, sweet. Oh, yeah, it's like a circus, right? Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love
Welcome
it.
to the show.
Awesome.
Yes. Yeah. So we do have Amy tuning in. Amy's actually a big Aerosmith fan, so she wants to know if you like any Aerosmith songs.
I do. I could grab a load of those as well. But what
Go
I will
for it.
But I will tell you, I won't bore you with just 7 inches of Jamie's got a gun or whatever. But no, I've got a lovely Aerosmith story. My sister, my little sister, she's a bit of a health fanatic, and she's very good at it. And she used to work in an exclusive health club, and there were people like football teams she had to get ready, quite a few celebrities and stuff. And then a guy called Tim Collins, I think his name is, was Aerosmith's manager, got hold of her and said Aerosmith would be playing Donington this year, Download Festival, and would you put them through their paces? And so my sister, who knows nothing really about, she's a saxophonist, my sister actually, but she's more sort of jazzy and stuff like that. She's not really certainly not a metaler, so she had no idea what she was dealing with. And so she's got Aerosmith in, and then she's got to give him an aerobics class, right? So she thought, right, what should I put on to make, sort of thing. So she got off on a little bit of a bad foot because she put "Welcome to the Jungle" by Guns N' Roses on.
Oh no!
To do stuff, and I think this is while they're having a bit of a spat, and apparently Steven Tyler came right up to her face and just went, "Turn it off."
No.
Oh no.
And then, of course, she got free tickets, and she stood at the side of the stage, hung out backstage with Brian May. It wouldn't have made any difference to her if it had been, I don't know, Justin Bieber or whatever. It wouldn't have. It wouldn't. It just made no sort of. I'm sure I could have got a ticket if I'd have realised that. It was all kind of over by the time I found out about it. So. That was brilliant. That was brilliant. But I love it. My sisters are awesome. All three of them are fantastic. And my sister Ruth gave me a wonderful moment backstage once. I was playing a festival, and it was with quite a few other artists. But the headliner that night was Peter Hook from Joy Division New Order. It's Peter Hook and the Light. So I was quite excited. And I'd met Peter earlier on, and I came back through the backstage area, and I'd given my sister and my mum like access all areas, things and what have you. And my sister, I walked around, and my sister was standing by the sort of artists' mobile toilets, talking to Peter Hook. And I thought, that's cool, that's cool. But she's another one that, like, but other than Bon Jovi and a few others and stuff, she's certainly. So she comes wandering, and she spots me and says something to him, and then comes back to me. And as she gets to me, I go, "How's that then?" She said, How's what? And I said, "Talking to Peter Hook." "Oh, is he someone I should know?" And I said, "Well, he's like the bass player of Joy Division and New Order, one of the most inspirational bass players of recent times, I'd say." And she went, "Oh my God." She said, "I thought he was cleaning the toilets. I told him how clean they were, and how what a good job he'd done on the." Oh my God! I just wanted to crumble. But
Oh my Lord.
it's great. I loved it. She had no idea who
Oh
he
my
was.
goodness.
And my mum on that one as well. Someone who had actually forbidden me to buy Sex Pistol records when I was there, because she's a good Christian lady and stuff, and it wasn't the done thing back in '77 and stuff. And they were public enemy number one at one point, having questions asked about them in Parliament. That's how scared the British government were of this four-piece band, And my mum absolutely forbade me. So the weirdest thing I've ever seen is my mum walking over and giving Glenn Matlock a hug and thanking him for giving her son a job.
Oh.
It was really sweet, but it was just like the weirdest thing. I couldn't get my camera out fast enough, sadly, but that would have been an absolute, I'd have had that canvassed and put on the wall, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was good. It was a lovely moment.
That's awesome. Okay, so I think we have time for just a few more questions because we are going to wrap things up soon. Granted, it is like 3:30 in the morning where you are right now.
This is true, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we definitely want to get you on your way very soon, but we have time for a couple more. Lisa, any more fun questions from you?
Yes, I do. I have. If you had the choice between two superpowers, being invisible or flying, which would you choose?
Invisible, immediately. Yeah, I love the idea, and don't think I haven't thought about it.
There you go.
I mean, I would have said flying so you could come over to Toronto, for crying out loud.
Hey, there you go.
Almost 10 years.
Just go to the airport and just stand by the loos. They're not going to see me, are they? I mean, I'll be all right. Just get on a plane. Just,
Exactly.
There you go.
That's
Yes.
true. That's true.
So yeah, and I mean, the customs and all that sort of stuff. Passport control, not a problem. So yeah, it'd be great.
And this time you'll be able to bring your powdered milk and sugar.
I'm not
Ooh,
doing that.
yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'll tell you. I'd like to, if I may, can I direct people in the in the direction of some of the things that I've got on various platforms?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was gonna be our
Absolutely.
next question. Like, what other
people
things do you want
find
to bring
you?
up, and what else do you have going on? Where can people find you? All that stuff.
Well, if you get the spelling of my name right, with Americans are much better than English people. For some reason, English people pronounce it Donley and all that sort of stuff. It's just the two syllables. I'm not greedy. It's Donley. Donley.
Donley.
I have a YouTube channel, and that's got loads and loads of stuff that I've done on there, and you know, whether it's stuff with Glenn or Keith Levine or yep, there it is, and that is, you see the lady on the right.
Yes.
On the left, sorry, on the left, Denise. That's the Denise that just left that comment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean,
Denise, if you're still watching, hit me up on Facebook, Kandi Burton, Burton. Hit me up right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, go for it, David.
She'd be a great interview, actually. She's ace, you know, and that was a great thing. We did a whole album sort of during COVID because we were sort of stuck in each other's bubble, if you know what I mean, because you know you couldn't. So I don't know what the rules were for you, but you could sort of hang with 6 people or whatever, and we were in amongst the same people, but we hadn't met that long before, but it was brilliant because it was just so natural. It was like she said, "Oh, I've got some lyrics," and I had a riff or something, and we just. As soon as we started, it was one of those things where I just thought, oh, we're into something here. It's really, really good, and that's been a real pleasure. But it's mainly my fault from going and do the visage thing and all that sort of stuff. I kept having to stop when I went swanning off somewhere and what have you. And also, Denise is an author as well. She's about to release her 2nd book, and so she's busy as well. But yeah, we are getting to the point now where I'm starting to get some mixes down of the stuff that we hope is going to be, you know, an album's worth of stuff. But on Bandcamp, if you go for Peaceful Cacophony is the name of the band.
Okay.
peacefulcacophony.bandcamp.com.
Gotcha.
And we've got an EP that you can buy and you should buy called the Corona Somnia. Because that was actually,
okay.
you know, people started suffering from insomnia during the thing, and we certainly did. We recorded some stuff at night and things like that because why not? And but yeah, that's a real good. And also towards the end, in April actually, I just said to Denise at one point, I just want to make a noise again, and we'd not really discussed doing live stuff. But we went into a rehearsal studio, and it's just me and Denise, live vocals, live guitar, and just used my drums and guitars and my drums and bass off the laptop. But it was just brilliant. Right. She enjoyed really singing loud.
Awesome.
And I really enjoyed just going through a Marshall again, and we're going to put a little video of that up actually because it was quite fun. Because yeah, Denise had never fronted like a live, if you like, rock band before. So she's done a lot of acoustic stuff and she's sung forever, but she hadn't done anything like this, and I think she enjoyed just hearing it really, really loud, and so that was really good.
So cool.
And the other band I have, which I really love, is again videos available, is Choose Your Weapon, which I think is a cracking. That's one of my favorite names of a band that I've been.
I like that. Yeah, Choose Your Weapon. Mm-hmm.
And it's me and 2 women, and the dynamic is Jamie singing at the front. Jamie is a very brilliant front woman, burlesque dancer by other things as well. She's got the moves. Me doing all the instruments and production and engineering and stuff. And then, but we do consider ourselves a 3-piece because our 3rd member is Michelle, who is the lyric writer, because she's just a brilliant writer, and so that we always think of ourselves as a 3-piece, but like Michelle does not want to appear on stage or anything like that. But there are some clips of her in the Catharsis video. So Choose Your Weapon Catharsis, and again, Choose Your Weapon have a Bandcamp. Again, I'm guessing that I think it's Choose Your Weapon 1 is, so it's something that Choose Your Weapon 1.bandcamp.com, and the same is true for the Venus Reaction, which is the one for the clear vinyl single. And
okay.
And like I say, yes, I'm here wanting to flog it and stuff, but I don't. I want it to go. I want people to get excited about it because it's a lineup that will never happen again, and it only happened once. You're never going to get like Amy from Everrain, Glenn from the Pistols, and Ed from the Darkness in a room, like, you know. To who would have thought that would come together? You know.
Exactly right.
It's an amazing combination to my ears, anyway. I mean, you know, music's subjective, isn't it? It's whatever you like. But I just they all did a brilliant job, and they were very kind for coming and doing it for me, who is essentially in that sort of world. I'm not really that high up the ladder, you know.
Right.
So that's been good. But yeah, I do think I'm very excited about doing more Peaceful Cacophony stuff. I'd really like to do some Choose Your Weapon stuff, but there's a real geographical problem there because you know we're scattered. Whereas at least
Different places. Yeah.
live in the same city, and yeah, and a lot of things took me away from the project, but you know I want to carry on and do some of that because I just think it's great. I really, really do love it, and that's what you've got to do. If you're doing your own stuff, you've got to do it because you love it.
Right.
You know,
Yes.
it's all very well. I mean, I love the stuff that I do for money. Obviously, playing in the Bowie thing and with Glenn and you know, fantastic things. Viv Albertine, you know, all those wonderful people and stuff. But I need to be paid to pay the mortgage and all that sort of stuff. But
Very true.
what I love about you know things like Choose Your Weapon, Venus Reaction, and Peaceful Cacophony is we're doing it because we just love it. You know, it'd be brilliant if people want to buy it, you know, and they want to buy the tracks off Bandcamp. But really, it's that thing of just finishing a song, going, I like that.
Right.
I think that's awesome. And Choose Your Weapon particularly is like you know two very strong women writing very strong stuff. And again, I know my place in that band is the same with Denise. Actually, Denise is very yeah way. She knows what she's doing, you know, what she wants to say, and it's not, you know, I don't think there's very many sort of love songs as such or anything like that. It's more cerebral stuff. Do you know what I mean? Which I quite like as well, without disappearing up your own bum, you know. It's it's you know, I just like it. I really love the lyrics of both those projects, you know, and also
Absolutely.
myself and Michelle. This is quite exciting, but sadly, I can't say much about it, and you'll understand why in a bit. But I had an idea for a film idea, and I said to Michelle, "Why don't you just stick a few ideas down?" Because she's the writer; she's done screenplays and plays and stuff like that, and she's all about words and stuff. And she came up with a treatment, and again, very long story short, but it's actually looking like it might happen now, like a proper cinema film.
Oh, cool.
It's like
Yeah.
as producers come in, we've got I can't say anything about it because we've actually sort of signed things that are kind of non-disclosure forms.
Sure.
But it got very very exciting about a fortnight ago. So you know that would be
Awesome.
one thing. But and when I can talk about it, I'll obviously happily come back and talk to you.
Absolutely.
Can I just? Oh, I need to amend something as well. Favorite Canadian band? What the hell am I thinking? Project Gemini.
Yes.
Gemini. I don't. I think it's because I'm too close to it because I played on the last three albums. I played on you know book 1 and 2, and I will be on the third Project Gemini one. And Mark Anthony Kaye, when you listen to Catharsis by Choose Your Weapon and Spare Me by Peaceful Cacophony, he mixed and mastered them for me. Because I think when you're very close to something, you can't trust your own ears, you know, because I'll be listening to the guitar part I just put down, or if I put the bass down last, I'll be thinking of that. But also, I just love Mark's sound. He just you put the headphones on and listen to Project Gemini, you can pick out every instrument and every vocal and everything. That guy really knows how to place stuff in a mix. And then mastering wise, you know, I sent him a mix of something I just wanted him to master. And again, it's a bit like John Davis, you know. I mean, I know obviously worlds apart in terms of, you know, big mastered engineers, but Mark sent the Choose Your Weapon one back, and it was just the difference was incredible. It was absolutely incredible, and so I just rate him as a writer, as a player. He's a good friend of mine as well. But you can be friends with people you admire. I'm friends with Glenn Matlock, but he's one of my heroes. You
There
know,
you go.
I'm friends with Rusty Egan, but he's one of my drumming heroes when he was in the Skids and stuff like that, and Visage, obviously. I ended up in a band with him, and just you know, there's so many people I've admired, and it doesn't matter if they're famous or not. It's what they do really good. And in Mark Anthony Kaye's case, I think you look at his run of album stuff, the quality there is fantastic, and I think he's a bit of a genius really because he does it all himself, just calls it Project Gemini, and so I suppose we've got that together as we all play all instruments in a way. So yeah, but yeah, I love the B Girls, but if we're going to go for a modern Canadian artist, I would say Project Gemini. I think the 5 albums that I possess are amazing. You know, absolutely brilliant. So yeah, sorry about that, Mark. If you were sitting there thinking, "What about me?"
Oh,
No, that's okay. That's okay. But like I said, we are an hour and a half into this. It's
woo!
probably, let me
Yeah.
see, it's 3:30, almost 4 o'clock in the morning. So I'm sure you're pretty tired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh,
we
It's been lovely.
sincerely,
It's
we
been really, really nice. It's
yeah,
been
well,
really, really good.
we sincerely want to thank you so much. I mean, I know it's a late night, but we do appreciate you being here,
yes.
hanging
Thank
out
you
with us
so
for a
much.
bit. I mean, you and I talk so much, so it's nice to be able to,
Yeah.
get you here on a live interview and get everything out on the table here. No, that's totally awesome. So we thank you. Yes.
Absolutely. Share the love.
Well, it's nice because when we talk as friends, obviously, I don't want to go on about my career and music and stuff. It'd be really weird, wouldn't it? It'd be really odd if I
But it's
just sit there.
interesting to me.
But like when it's an interview or something, you can ask all the things that maybe you wanted to ask, but couldn't, or whatever, or just seemed inappropriate when we're talking about family and life going on and all
Oh,
that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been nice to meet you, Lisa.
nice to meet you also, and thank you so much for coming to Front Row Promotions. And you're welcome to come back anytime, and you're welcome to play any music. We encourage that. We love to have you play music, or if you'd like to sing some tunes, we would like to hear that voice that you you don't think that sounds good, but I know it does.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll put the demo of Lifetime up on there as well. But like I say, just all those things we've talked about are on Bandcamp, and I'm sure if I don't know whether you'll put details in or whatever, but you can find the links to these. My YouTube, Peaceful Cacophony has a YouTube as well. Choose Your Weapon has a YouTube, and
Well, hit us up on the Facebook page, Front Row Promotions, and you can add whatever you want in there. Like promote. That's why
Absolutely.
I don't want to spam you, but I'll yeah.
No, spam away.
No.
That's what we're all about.
We
Well,
want you
thanks
to post whatever you want on there.
Thanks for being interested. It's been a joy. Do you know we hardly covered some of the bands? It's just really weird. There's so much that sound. Particularly like the Visage thing. We didn't get to that, did we? And playing for
On the video, I didn't get to the video. See, so you have to come back so we can play some. Yes.
I'll gladly come up again, and unless obviously everyone that was watching is asleep now, and bored, not because they're in the UK.
Oh no! Come on.
Thanks ever so much. It's really nice.
Thank you so much for being here, and above everything else, thank you for the friendship. I mean, we've been friends for so long, and I just appreciate you always being there for me too.
It's been it's been a pleasure penetrating your inner circle. Yeah.
Oh Jesus Christ! Dry spell. I'm just joking.
I must be getting tired.
Getting silly.
Well, long may you rock and roll. And I hope I do make it over over to Canada or
that would be amazing.
Or even back to Baltimore.
I would love that. Yes,
Canada first.
John Waters' country, isn't it?
It's like, that's
Canada
right.
First.
Like you'll always say
Canada first.
She got her whip out. Watch out. She's gonna whip you.
Baltimore is the place where you see a little girl in a party dress sat next to a muddy puddle who looks up at you and goes, "I killed a worm," or something like that. It's a weird place, Baltimore, I think. But
you don't want to go into the city, but further out in the county is a little bit better, is a little bit more calmer. Yeah.
Oh, God, I didn't. Yeah. Oh, can I just add to the maddest thing was in Virginia. I was telling
yes,
that's right. Yes, go ahead.
Well, promoters always try and sometimes impress you with a rider, and they put extra stuff on it and stuff. Even though I asked for my tea making facility and stuff, but when we got there, we were in the dressing room for quite a while before we sort of realised that what we thought was someone just sort of tidying up and what have you. This girl was just sat in a corner on a chair, and she was just sitting there smiling and stuff. And like, hello, hiya. I thought maybe she was a bar lady or something, just taking a break or whatever. And it turned out this promoter had put a prostitute on the rider for no reason. We didn't ask, and we certainly weren't going to go there. And he said, "She'll do anything you want. She'll do anything you want. You just ask and stuff." And so we were so embarrassed, and it was. So I spent the entire night asking if she could just go and get me a Coke and maybe a towel or something like that and whatever. And we stood. I remember we stood outside once having a cigarette. Me and I said, "So how do you come across this job? You know, that sort of thing." And she was really nice and everything, but God, what a job servicing bands that come through. Anyway, so we were having a cigarette, and she said, "You see them hills over there?" And I went, "Yeah, yeah." And she goes, "That's where they filmed some of Deliverance." And I thought, no shit, no shit. It's like. I said, there's quite a few.
Oh my God.
There's quite a few young kids in the audience with satellite dishes for ears and like tombstones for teeth. You know, as you always hear the banjos. But yeah, that's one of the weirdest where someone put, all the food and everything that we'd asked for was on there. But yeah, and personal services, I think, was how it was written.
Oh,
my
no.
Lord.
But I swear, none of us asked. None of us. That wasn't what we were expecting. I thought she was an assistant, but yeah.
Well, she's going to assist you, all right.
But
Oh,
yeah,
no.
there are some funny things that go on. Anyway, off you go. I'm off to bed. I'm off to bed.
That was awesome. All right, so when we go offline, David, just stay on for a minute, and we'll say like goodbye after that. But Lisa, go ahead and put a bow on it, hun.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much for watching Front Row Promotions. Thank you, David Donley, for coming to Front Row Promotions, and you're welcome to come back. We love you.
Very much.
You're welcome.
I've never done that in my life. Oh, there. Is that good?
Okay,
Yeah,
Mom, if you're still watching, you know what to do. My mother always takes a picture of us, doing this. So, Mom, please get that shot for me. We really appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There you go.
All right. And just hang tight, David. I'll talk to you here as soon as I hit my music button and we send it off to the La La Land, because I know you're going to bed. That's where I'm going. I had a lot of Thanksgiving food, and I'm ready to hit the hay.
Happy Thanksgiving, even though I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
It's a day where we give thanks for everything that we have, but then get greedy next day and want shopping deals. So
okay, yeah,
yeah. I mean, you get 50% off of something.
yeah.
Black Friday. I don't know why
thank
they call
you
it
for the
that.
clothes on my back, but I want better clothes now.
Yeah.
This is crazy. But anyway, thank you so much for coming, David. And then we will definitely have you back on the show.
Excellent. Cheers.
Thank you for watching Front Row Promotions. Promote music in the making, music everywhere. Support that live local music everywhere. All right. And now, Front Row Promotions.